A judge declined to dismiss a case against a Marine veteran charged with killing a mentally ill homeless person on the subway. You might remember this viral video from last May. It shows Marine veteran Daniel Penny holding 30-year-old Jordan Neely in a chokehold that turned deadly. Neely had a long rap sheet. He had been arrested more than 40 times, including for violent random assaults. Witnesses on the subway that day say he was acting erratically and threatening other passengers. Penny spoke out weeks after getting charged with second-degree manslaughter, saying he was just trying to protect himself and others.
The three main threats that he repeated over and over was, "I'm going to kill you, I'm prepared to go to jail for life, and I'm willing to die." I was scared for myself, but I looked around, I saw women and children. He was yelling in their faces, saying these threats. I couldn't just sit still.
In a statement today after the judge's decision, Penny's lawyers said in part that they are confident that a jury aware of Penny's actions to put his own safety aside to protect others will deliver a just verdict, end quote. And joining us now is one of Daniel Penny's attorneys, Stephen Razor. Stephen, thank you so much for being here. I want to read from some of the witness statements that were in your filing to dismiss this case. A mother who says she was taking her son to a therapy appointment says she heard Neely say, quote, "I want to hurt people. I want to go to Rikers. I want to go to prison." She says she and her son tried to hide behind her son's stroller. Then a high school student recounted Neely saying, quote, "Someone is going to die today," as she says she began to pray. And then a retiree who said she rode the subway for decades and said of Neely, quote, "I have encountered many things, but nothing that put fear into me like that." All these passengers say they were terrified that day of Jordan Neely.
Right. And I mean, and these are experienced subway riders, some of these, right? So they have seen a lot in their lifetimes. This was different. This case was different. And it wasn't simply a fear of being hurt. It was a fear of dying. This was a manic episode where the individuals that were within this zone of danger were truly fearful for their lives. When Danny stepped in, he stepped in to save their lives.
How many of the passengers on that subway car have you been able to contact?
Well, we've been in contact with a few, and also the police department has been in contact with a few more. And cumulatively, we have a half dozen passengers that have come forth and testified on behalf of Danny, in essence, at the grand jury, making it very clear that Danny was their hero, that in any situation like that, if somebody was faced with that kind of a threat and unable to respond or defend themselves, anybody, including those half dozen riders, agreed that they thank God for Danny being there when he was.
Yeah, in fact, you interviewed one subway passenger who said he was relieved when Danny stepped in.
That's right. And that has been a common theme throughout this, the proceedings in the grand jury, where everybody has more or less in unison, with a couple of outliers indicating that this was a situation that appeared to be out of control. It was under control when Danny stepped in. Danny stepped in and removed the threat and protected the other passengers from Mr. Neely, with no intention whatsoever to harm Mr. Neely, but to simply protect his fellow passengers, and he succeeded in doing that.
Okay, other eyewitnesses say that Penny and Neely struggled for quite some time. Did anybody see Neely struggling for air, struggling to breathe?
Well, it's also been clear in the testimony that there was no indication that Danny was choking him. In other words, there was no wheezing, no indication from Neely directly that he couldn't breathe. Danny had held him there for so long. You have to remember, as he was doing that, he was being assisted by other passengers who also saw Neely as the threat, and Danny the entire time begging for the police to come. The amount of time that passed showed that what Danny was doing was trying to restrain him, keep him from getting to the other passengers, not to choke him, and not to hurt him, and certainly not to kill him.
Yeah, but at some point, the cell phone video does show that Neely stops struggling. Why did Penny continue to hold him down like that?
So we have to remember at that particular moment, Danny is not applying pressure to his neck and choking him. He's holding him in place. If Danny lets him go at that point and he gets up again and starts to again follow through on his threats, Danny's no longer in a position to hold him. Danny's exhausted. If Danny moves from this advantageous position, and Mr. Neely gets on top of him, Danny could be the one whose life is in danger.
Thanks so much for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.